Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. Today, I wanted to go over a topic that was requested, and it is about how to reconnect with an avoidant ex. And before we get into it, I wanted to mention a couple things that reconnecting with an ex is a decision that you can make. It doesn't mean that if you're the one who takes initiative, that suddenly the avoidant partner, like the whole relationship is not possible or it's ruined. I have no issue with individuals reaching out. I think that every relationship is different. It doesn't matter who does what at the end of the day. If the relationship makes it, it makes it. It really doesn't matter about those little details. And I think a lot of people get that really confused and think that these tiny little micro things matter. And all that does is create more anxiety for the actual partner. It actually creates this cycle where if you're an anxious person, you just stay more unhealed because you start believing that you have to be very specific around avoidant individuals. And while they are specific folks, I'm not denying that who reconnects or who reaches out, that doesn't make too much of a difference. If that does make the difference, likely this person, either they're not avoidant or they are and they just don't want you, but it's not, no situation is going to make or break by these tiny little things. Not often. If so, the relationship might be a little bit too unhealthy for anybody to really deal with. So reconnecting and reaching out should not be an issue. If it is, that could be for your specific partner, maybe because you know that can trigger them. So it's very dynamic. This is not a one-size-fits-all approach, and it also doesn't mean that this guarantees that you guys will get back together, okay? But I did want to share some things that I see can work sometimes when I'm practicing, okay? So the very first one is, let's say you do take initiative, which I think has benefits, right? You want to send a message. Let's say it's text message. You want to send some sort of message, phone call, whatever way you reach out, or I don't know how you guys are reaching out. Everybody's different, right? You want to set that the intention is clear without pressure. If you want to be in a romantic relationship, it's probably better to make a clear situation depending on your situation. You know your ex better than I ever will understand, right? But often clear intentions without pressure allows the individual to not be able to, they don't have to hide their own intentions either, right? It'll allow them to recognize if you're looking for commitment or just connection romantically, whatever it is, that they don't have to guess as well. And they also will not be taking advantage of the situation by leaving you, let's say, in the friend zone for X amount of time, right? So let's give an example. Maybe you could say something like, let's say it's a text message. I've been thinking recently how things ended between us, and I've been reflecting a lot. How about you? Has this been on your mind as well? So the intention here, you didn't mention that you want something romantic because I'm saying maybe you don't, right? Maybe you just want to get some sort of closure. Has this been on your mind? Do you feel like, maybe you wish things hadn't ended the way it is? So that's kind of the intention here. But maybe you want more clearer intentions about getting back together. Maybe you could say something like, I've been thinking recently about how things have ended, and I feel like we ended things a little preemptively. I wanted to discuss what are your feelings about maybe getting together again, or discussing what happened and seeing how we feel. It's a little bit more clear about, hey, maybe I want to get back together, right? Now we can also look at, maybe you don't know what your intentions are. Maybe you're not clear about what your intentions are, and that's normal too, but you just miss your partner and you want to see where they are. So maybe you could mention something that's a little bit simpler. Hey, I came across something that reminded me of you. I've been thinking about you recently. Have you been thinking about me? Whatever it is, right? And so it doesn't mean that you have to straight up say, hey, let's get back together. I've been thinking about it. Let's go get married. No, maybe, whatever works, but your intention might not be clear either. But try and clarify how you've been feeling. I've been reflecting a lot. We've been fighting a lot, or I think we broke up preemptively. Talk about in the way where this is how I'm feeling. This is where I'm processing, what I'm coming across. You don't really need to put it in a way where there's any blame or even regrets necessarily, just reflecting. You don't have to say, I regret leaving you. Maybe we could make it work. If you want to, that's fine. But sometimes that can create pressure. So just mentioning, I've been thinking about how things ended. I'm reflecting a lot. What about you? Has this been on your mind? Do you think we broke up preemptively? Whatever your version is, right? But you want to be vulnerable to some extent. And I know it's hard, But it's important to recognize if you always, dance around the avoidance triggers, neither of you are going to heal. And so it's important to show up in a way where you're confident and you're okay with whatever happened. Besides, you guys are already exes. It's already, you guys aren't together. What more do you really have to lose? I'm sure there are things, but I mean, you don't know until you try, right? And so that's another thing to recognize. The next one is to acknowledge or apologize about the past, whatever happened. If the breakup involved hurt or misunderstanding, sincere apology. By the way, I know, last time we were together, maybe you guys are starting to talk again, right? I know last time we talked or last time we were together, we had a lot of fights, or I was really jealous, right? Anxious, preoccupied individuals struggle with jealousy a lot. Or it doesn't have to be a lot, but it's kind of like something I've noticed. I've been working with a lot of couples recently. I do work with couples a lot, but somehow I've noticed a lot of anxious, preoccupied. Jealousy is a common theme as of recent. So that's why that was on my mind. I didn't mean to say all of you guys are jealous, so I'm sorry about that. But let's say you were an anxious, preoccupied, or you are, and you were jealous, and you mentioned, I'm sorry, I was snooping around your stuff, or I always assumed that you were cheating on me. I shouldn't have done that. That probably put a lot of pressure on you. I acknowledge that, and I'm really sorry. I want to rebuild trust with you. Whatever it may be, you acknowledge that, right? And the avoidant individual should do the same thing if they also want to get back together. These are things that are going to start showing up, okay? The other one could be to find shared interests and memories. Again, reconnecting over mutual interest, reigniting that memory, reestablishing emotional connection. I remember that we used to go on walks together a lot. Do you want to do that with me this weekend? Whatever it is, or maybe you guys are starting to talk again, redo those things that you guys used to do. Come back together as a couple, as a pair, because at the end of the day, life is dynamic, but it also can be short and time is limited, and you deserve to get what you want and what makes you happy. And if your partner really is that person, I think it's important to reach out and get what you need to get. It always depends on your situation, but it is important. Even if it's just closure, if you need to get closure, this may help you, right? The next one is be respectful of their space and boundaries. You know your partner's boundaries. Let's say they're not responsive or they're not interested. Respect that. Reconnection should be mutual, right? You don't want it completely one-sided or one-sided at all. If you recognize that they mention, hey, I'm not interested, or they don't answer your message, it might signify that either there's no interest or they're still processing. Give them time to come back, okay? Depending on your because maybe sometimes people need prompting. You know your relationship, but you know what to respect and what boundaries. Most likely you do. I can't speak to that, okay? I'm not there. The next one is express as well as show, I would say, that you've changed. If needed, most people need to change, right? For relationships. If you have personal growth, let's say the jealousy example, and that was a factor of your breakup, just show it through your actions. But you can also mention, I know that my jealousy is what drove us apart last time. I've reflected. I'm really not as much of a jealous person as I used to be. And I know that was hard on you, but it was hard on me too. And I don't want to bring that to you or anybody. And I don't want to feel that way either. I've really changed, whatever it may be, okay? The next one is reflect what you want out of this relationship. And that's something personal. What do you want out of it? When you're reconnecting, like we were talking about in the first point, do you want to get back together? Do you just want to see how they are? Do you just want to connect over missing each other? Do you want to start slow? What do you want? I think reflecting is very important because it allows you to be a little bit more clear of your intention when you do reach out or when you are reconnecting again, so that you don't lead your partner on and so that they don't take advantage of the situation either, right? And this one is the last one, but I think it's very important for any individual, not even just with avoidance, but any individual in general. Pay attention to what went wrong the first time so that you can be mindful to not do it again. Now, everyone makes mistakes and it's okay, but we were talking about the example jealousy, so I'm going to continue to use that one. If you know that your jealousy drove the relationship apart, just be mindful, be a little less jealous, right? If you realize that what broke you guys apart is your avoidant individual, your partner, your ex, was not a good texter, and that made you feel really hurt, and you're the one that reached out, they might not have changed. And so are you willing to accept that their texting habits have not changed? Or are you going to see if they have changed so that you can connect? What is your decision? What are you going to do about it, right? What can you do? What can your partner do? That's very important because it's very challenging for you to expect your partner to show up and change when maybe they didn't agree that they would, or you left because they didn't want to change and now you're the one coming back. Sometimes you can't expect them to change because life doesn't work like that. And so it's very important to recognize, what are you willing to accept and what are you willing to not accept, and clarify that within yourself before moving forward again, because a situation that makes it much more unhealthy for both anxious and avoidant is an off and on situation. I might make a video on that at one point, because off and on relationships are very damaging to the triggers of all individuals who are insecurely attached and securely attached. It is a very scary situation for all parties involved for their mental health. And so it's very important to clarify and pay attention to what went wrong and be mindful of that in the new relationship that you have, okay? I hope this video was helpful. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.